reporting, commissions, etc. But it also has a couple of items that are fairly unique. And so what I'd like to do is start with those unique items, and then after we are done with those, we'll jump into the basics. Okay, and please, again, feel free to interrupt me at any time with any questions you might have. Also, I would like everybody to know that I am going to go ahead and record this so that when I'm done with this meeting, when we're all done with this meeting today, I can convert this into a video and send you a link to it. I can email you if you would like that link. That way you can watch and review any portion of the demo that you just participated in at your convenience. Okay? All right. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to talk about, as I said, were those two unique items. And those two unique items are going to be the Darcy marketing system and the online button here. So we're going to start with Darcy. Darcy is named Darcy because she's our daily automated reminder and client information system. And Darcy is going to interface with she's speaking directly to your client files, your appointment book, your inventory, all sorts of different things. And so she's got 5 main jobs that we're going to focus on. Now, she does other things as well, but we're going to focus first on these 5 main jobs. The first one being the appointment reminders and confirmations. So I'm going to go ahead and click on email confirmations. Now, these are reminders and confirmations, meaning that this information is going to go out to your customer before their appointment via email or text, or if you're using the app, it can go out through push notification as well. Okay, so this would say something like, reminder for Jolanta. Hi, Jolanta, remember that you have an appointment for a European facial with Sally on January 28th at 11 a.m. Now, you don't have to worry about what I've written here. You get to write whatever you want, and you get to use what are called variables. These variables make it so that everybody gets their unique message. When this message goes out, it goes out with your logo, with your social networking icons, and also a large button that says, click here to confirm your appointment. If your customer clicks that button, it will mark the appointment confirmed right on the appointment book, date and timestamp showing that it was confirmed by the customer through Darcy. And you can say how many of these reminders you want to go out, 1, 2, 3, or 4. I've chosen 2, and the way this works is that if they confirm on the first message that goes out, she won't bother sending the second one. But if they fail to confirm, then she will send the next one and possibly the next one, possibly the next one, because you can do up to 4. Okay? You can do the same thing with texting. The difference is, of course, there's not going to be any artwork. So no logo, no social networking icons, no large button. Instead, this would say something like, reminder for Latanya. Latanya, your appointment with Sally is on January 28th at 11 a.m. Reply Y to confirm. This is the important line here. If your customer hits Y and send, then it will, again, automatically mark the appointment confirmed, date and time stamped, showing that the client confirmed it through Darcy. Okay, so those email reminders and confirmations. Next are the automated marketing campaigns. Now, with the automated marketing campaigns, you get to pre-create campaigns and get away from things like Constant Contact or Go Loyal or MailChimp or things like that. Now, can you use those? Absolutely. But what this is going to allow you to do, for instance, we have over 20 of them. And let's say that we want to go with birthdays. So I can choose the number of campaigns I want to send out for my customers' birthdays. Hopefully, you are storing your customers' dates of birth in their client files. And in this case, I said I want 4 campaigns to run before my customer's birthday. So then I get to choose from 0 to 30 days when these messages go out. So I said I want my first message to go out 30 days prior to their birthday, second message 14 days prior, third message 7 days prior, fourth message on their birthday. If this was a 1, it would be the day before. So a 0 is actually on the day. Once I've set the dates, then I get to choose and set up the actual messaging. So this might say something like, happy birthday, Greg. Happy birthday, Greg. It looks like you'll be celebrating your special day in about a month. Now, I wrote that because I know this one's going out 30 days before. And I'm using some variables here so that it is specific to Greg, and the subject as well uses a variable. When you're using a customer's name, there is a higher open rate and read rate on these. Now, once you've written the message you want, and while writing the message, you get to choose your font size. You can also bold words or the entire thing or portions, underline, italicize, change the color of your text as well, and insert hyperlinks. Once you've done that, you are then able to choose your artwork. Now, there are 8 different pieces of artwork to choose for every one of the campaigns, and there are over 20 campaigns. If you do not care for any of the artwork that we have pre-created for you, that's fine. You can upload your own custom artwork as well. Now, Pro Solutions does have a graphic arts department that will create these for you if you can't create them on your own. With an industry your size, a business your size, excuse me, I'm assuming you probably already have things like that, but we can give you the specs so that you can create your own imagery. And then when you upload your own custom imagery, you'll have your own custom campaign rather than the ones that we have selected for you. So you create it, you choose your artwork, you send yourself a test email to make sure it looks good, that your logo works with it and everything, and then you save it. Then you simply do the same thing for the next 3 messages, and each of them can have their own artwork, their own unique message as you're reaching out to your customer prior to their birthday. Again, there are over 20 of them to choose from. Most of these are the same. And what I mean by that is they go out before the date. So before Christmas or before back to school or before their customer's anniversary, before Valentine's Day or before Mother's Day, etc. However, there are some, just a couple of them, that are different. They go out after the date. One of those is follow-up. This goes out after the date. So what's the date? In this case, the date is the date of your customer's last transaction. So if I said, I want to send one campaign out one day after their last transaction, then I could say something like this. Thank you, Greg. Greg, thank you so much for visiting us yesterday, blah, 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 blah. The point is that everybody who visited me yesterday will automatically get this message. And again, you choose your artwork. Again, you can upload your own custom. Everything else works precisely the same way as I've already discussed. And you even have something like lost client, which instead of going from 0 to 30 days is going to go from 30 to 360 days in 30-day blocks. So in this case, what this means is that if somebody came to me and 90 full days have gone by, 3 months have gone by, and they have not returned, then they might get a message that says something like, we miss you, LaTanya. LaTanya, it's been a long time since we've seen you, etc. Again, choose your artwork or upload your own custom artwork. If your customer has a future appointment in the spa, then it will not send this out, even if they have missed 90 days or 4 months or 5 months or 8 months like I've selected. Okay? It won't send it out if they have a future appointment booked. So that is your automated marketing campaigns. Then we have what we call suspicious notifications. Now, not all of these are suspicious, but most of them are. And this is where Darcy kind of acts like an assistant manager at the front desk. And what she's really kind of doing is looking over the shoulder for most of these items. You check next to whichever of these items you want Darcy to pay attention to. If they're not checked, she will ignore it completely. But for instance, this one here that I've checked, when a cash payment is voided. If a front desk person voids a cash payment at the point of sale, then the boss or manager will get instantly notified by Darcy that a cash payment was voided on this transaction on this day at this time. And if you're password protecting that option of voiding a cash payment, then it will also tell you who actually did the void, because it'll know who did it based on their password. When a price is modified at the point of sale, or when rewards points are adjusted, if somebody added additional points to somebody's account, you can be instantly notified that that took place. When a transaction is modified, or if somebody prints out a list of your customer database. Of course, again, all of this can be password protected, where the password allows them to do it, but it allows you to audit it, show that they did it, or the password simply locks them out. Your password does not give you authorization to perform this service. Now, not all of these are suspicious activities. Like, for instance, this one here, email tomorrow's schedule to operator. If you've got that one checked, then your staff every night will be emailed by Darcy their schedule for the following day. Nobody else's, just theirs. Email closing reports. So the manager or the boss, the person who's in charge of the drawer, for instance, may not be the person who's actually closing the drawer at the end of the night. So after the drawer is closed at the end of the night, Darcy emails that person, can be up to 2 people that you've selected, will get an instant email saying, hey boss, it's Darcy, here are tonight's closing numbers. So you can do things like that as well. All right. So, and of course, there's quite a bit more there, but those were kind of the touchstone ones that I wanted to bring to your attention. Now, the other two jobs, we've covered three of them, the confirmations and reminders, the automated campaigns, and the notifications. There are two other jobs, and those are the come again and the buy again. Now, the come again in your business, because you guys are more resort-based, you know, hotel, casino type thing, the come again is probably going to be most effective for your locals. Not so much for your guests that are coming from out of state or, you know, a far drive from another city or something like that. But the way it works is this. You're able to, with come again, assign a time frame to a service. And what I mean by that is not the length of time it takes the service to be performed, but rather the amount of time gap between when that service is performed and when the customer should have returned to get it again. So if you have services that should be repeatable, and not all of them are, but if you have services that should be repeated, like you know, a physical therapy massage or something like that, then you could say, for instance, look, if they came in and got this particular service and 5 weeks went by or 10 weeks went by or 15, whatever it is, and they have not returned to get that service again, then I want the system to reach out to them to let them know that they've missed their cycle and, you know, to go ahead and, you know, click this button maybe to book their appointment online or to give us a call to book their next appointment or whatever it is, maybe just a reminder. Then we have the buy again, which works very similarly to the come again. And by the way, just one last thought on the come again. If they have a future appointment booked for it, even if they have missed that amount of time that you've selected, it won't send out the email. Again, so you don't look foolish. They've already booked it, even though they did miss however long you had set it for. The buy again works similarly, but instead of with services, this is focused on retail. So if a customer buys a product, you're able to put, again, a time frame on that product. Maybe you say, you know what, if somebody buys this bottle of whatever, it should last 4 weeks. So maybe you put a 5-week or a 6-week on it. So then if they came in and they bought that product and 5 weeks or 6 weeks went by and they have not returned to buy that product again, Darcy can reach out to them. Again, if they came in within that time and bought the same product, obviously it would reset the clock, but also if they buy a product within the same product category, it will either reset the clock or change it to the one that they just purchased. Again, you don't want to say, hey, your 20-ounce bottle of Just an All-in-One is running low when they came in 2 weeks ago and bought another 40-ounce bottle of it. Yeah, it's a different SKU, it's a different price. Technically, it's a different product, but essentially it's the same thing. And so you don't want to say that that's running low. Those are the 5 main jobs that Darcy does. As I said, she does other things as well, but that's what I wanted to bring to your attention. Now, do you have any questions on Darcy before I move on?
Yes.
Go ahead.
For the notifications, can a customer choose their preference in notification? Like, you know, I may prefer emails, and my mother may prefer text messages. In the client profile, can we mark that a particular client prefers one type of communication over another?
Absolutely, yes. And that's right down here. These 6 buttons right here. I have confirm via text, do not confirm via email. Do not confirm via text, confirm via email. I want to receive text promotions. I want to receive email promotions. Blue means it's a positive. Gray means it's negative.
Okay.
So yes, absolutely. You can go between text and or emails or even both. I like to get them both. I'm fine with getting them both. Or I just want emails, or I just want texting. Okay? So absolutely you can do that.
All right.
Even the receipts, by the way, if you have the customer's email address, if this is blue and you have their email address, then the system will automatically email them their receipt instead of printing it out. If this is gray, then it will automatically print instead of emailing. However, at the point of sale, you do have the ability to print an email that a receipt that has already been emailed, or email a receipt that has already been printed. So you've got that option as well, even though they may have already selected their specific preference. Okay. Did that answer your question?
Yes.
All right. Yeah, that's not so much Darcy as it is their preferences in their client file. All right. So any other questions on Darcy before I move on to the next thing? All right, moving on. The next thing we're going to talk about, again, that's fairly unique is the online system. Now, the online system, works one of two ways. It either works in conjunction with your app, if you choose to use the app, or it works in conjunction with web pages. So there are 4 different web pages that the online store creates. There is a main web page, and that's this one here where it says your website address is. This is the URL for that page. You're in control of the colors, of the banners, of the buttons, etc. You are also in control of the text that you see written here. And throughout the process of doing things, there's going to be different messaging, etc., that you are in control of. So hopefully it's going to have a similar look and feel to your website if you choose to do that. It also has the ability to have a separate URL for appointments online. So instead of having your customer visit the store front, they can just go to your website, and there may be a button that says something like click here to book an appointment at our spa. And if they click that button, it will take them directly to the URL for appointments online, so they don't see that front store. They just go directly into appointments online. Same thing with gift certificates online. If they are purchasing a gift certificate online, they can go to the store and choose gift certificates, or they could have gone to your website and clicked on a button that might say something like to purchase a gift certificate for our spa, click here, and it would take them directly to that URL. Same thing with buying products from the spa online. Okay, so you can do that as well. All of those are direct interfaces with the software. And what that means is that if somebody books an appointment online, it will actually put the appointment directly on the appointment book. So it's not like it just sends you an email that says this person is looking for this time on this day, etc. It will actually book it right on the appointment book. It will have its own unique color showing that it was booked online, and the word web will be on the appointment as well, so that you know that it was booked online. When somebody purchases a gift certificate online for the spa, there's nothing that needs to be done in the spa. The customer is able to purchase it online, print it out if they want to get it via email, and then walk right into your spa and use it. Your software is already aware of it, who bought it, who they bought it for, what the value is, what the number is, etc. So there's nothing that needs to be done in the spa if somebody's buying it online. If you're using the app, then the gift certificate or gift card in this case, we call it a gift card, but it actually appears on their smartphone. And if you have barcode scanner, you can actually scan their smartphone to use their gift certificate or gift card. And then same thing with retail. Now, the difference with retail, even though it's a direct interface, obviously they cannot print out a product. So when you are at the point of sale, if somebody were to have made a purchase of a product online, an alert pops up that lets you know that somebody has made a purchase of a product online. You can click on that alert. It will print out a mailing label for you, and it'll show you everything that they purchased. You can take that off your shelf, stick it into a box, and mail it out to them. And of course, during that process that they paid for it online, it can charge tax and shipping as well. So you can not worry about that, but it will remove that inventory from your inventory numbers if you accept that order online. Okay. All right. Now the app does a lot more than just those 3 items that I just discussed, but it does do those 3 items through the app as well. Okay. Any questions on the online store before I move on to the basics?
No questions.
All right. Let's talk about the basics. Okay, so we're going to talk first about the appointment book. Now, there are actually 3 different types of bookings in the appointment book. There is the day view screen, there is the week view screen, and there is the month view screen. For the purposes of what we're going to talk about right now, we're going to just focus on the day view and the week view screens, which is what most people use. If I left click on my book button here, that brings up my day view screen. The day view shows you everybody who's working today with the specific date that you're on. In this case, Friday, January 26th. These little arrows here in the lower left-hand corner will allow me to advance one day at a time. So I click here. Now I'm looking at the 27th, Saturday. Click here, Sunday the 28th. Click here, Monday the 29th, etc. And I can go back as well back to Friday the 26th. I can also jump to any day by clicking on the calendar button. So I can do that as well. In this case, I choose a customer. Then I can choose from my groups of services, which are user-defined, and the services which are within those groups. Then I can book an appointment. I can do the same thing in the week view screen. The difference is that the week view screen is not going to show me all of my staff members that are working today. And by the way, you can see up to 31 columns on a single screen. So I've got my staff members, I've got my rooms, and I have my equipment on a single screen. And of course, I can advance further if there's more to look at as well. So I could see another 31. So I could see 62 with one click of a button, that sort of thing. Okay, the week view screen. If I were to right-click on any one of my staff members and go to Week View, it's going to show me that specific staff member's today plus 2 weeks. Again, I can see up to 31 days using my plus or minus signs to add or subtract days from my screen. But in this case, today plus 2 weeks of just Debbie's schedule. I can click here, and now I'm looking at just Jessica's schedule. Click here, just Lynn's schedule, etc. Let's go back up here to Debbie, and let's book an appointment for her. Now I don't have to choose from my groups. In this case, I just have a list of services. Why? Because it's only showing me the services that Debbie does. So it limits it to just the services of the staff member that you've selected. So I'm going to go down here and I'm going to do a back facial. And I'm going to do this for January the 30th at 12 o'clock. So I go ahead and I book the appointment. Now I choose my customer, with Tom here, choose my room if any are required, and the appointment is booked. So I did that through the Week View screen. Now let's go back to our current day. We're back on today here. I'm going to choose another customer. I'm going to choose my group. Let's go with massages this time. And I'm going to choose, let's say, a head 60. And I'm going to book that with Maureen at 12 o'clock. So now I've booked it for today using my day view screen. And you'll notice it books Maureen and the room. So it's not just the person. What we call that is two-tiered booking. We also have three-tiered booking. So I'm going to choose a customer here. We'll go with Joanna here. And I'll stay in massage. And this time I'm going to go with a hot stone 60. And I'll book that with Maureen at 2 o'clock. What room? The Jasmine room. What equipment is being used? The black stone. So now I've got Joanna booked with Maureen in the Jasmine room with the black stones. And I've also, when I set this up, said that there was an additional 15 minutes of cleanup required in the room and for the equipment. But that Maureen, when she's done with the service, she does not have that additional cleanup time. I could have put it on her as well if she's the one doing the cleanup. But if she can walk over to somebody else now and do something else while you have staff that does the cleanup, maybe the room and the equipment is not available for another 15 minutes, but Maureen may be. Again, that's all based on setup. So this is three-tiered booking. And of course, we have single-tiered booking. So you're not booking a room or equipment. We'll go with Tanya here, and I'll just go with nails perhaps. And we'll go with the French manicure, and we'll book that with Ashley at 12 o'clock. Notice no room was asked, no equipment was asked. That's single-tiered booking. So you can book it just with your staff member, or you can book it with the staff member in a room, or you can book it with staff member, room, and equipment. Okay? Any questions on that before I continue?
Yeah, with the other treatments, can I just book the treatments, or do I have to select the room, or this is just like additional feature? Like, can we choose not to?
Yeah, absolutely. You can book without a room. Yes.
Okay.
Now, another thing that I want to show you is how easy it is to reschedule an appointment. I just check this box that says reschedule, and then I can just move the appointment anywhere I want using drag and drop. So I just grab it, hold it, bring it down to 3 o'clock, and release. Grab it, hold it to 1 o'clock, release, to 11 o'clock, release, to 10 o'clock, release, and back to 1 o'clock. Really simple. I can even move it to other people if I'd like as well. Now, if I was doing this in the Week View screen, it's just as simple, but I can move it between days as well. Go to Ashley's Week View and check my reschedule. And now move her to January the 30th. Move her over to Friday the 2nd. Or move her here to Monday the 5th at 10 a.m. and then bring her right back to 1 o'clock today. So moving appointments around is really very simple. Also, unbooking an appointment. Right-click, unbook. Are you sure you want to unbook this? Yes or no. That's simple. If I say yes, the appointment vanishes. Now, just because the appointment has vanished doesn't mean that it has left the software. And what I mean by that is that you may look up an appointment that had been booked, but was rescheduled or unbooked. So even though it's no longer appearing on your appointment book, there's still a record of it. So if the client came in and you say, hey, Jane Smith is here for her appointment, and I don't have Jane Smith. I've got somebody else scheduled in there. And she said, what are you talking about? And then you find out because you went in, you checked, she swears she had an appointment. She may even have an appointment reminder email on her phone to show you. So you go in there and you can check and see that she was in fact scheduled and she was unbooked, and it will show you who unbooked it, on what day, and on what time it was unbooked, etc. And, sometimes that happens because Jane Smythe called in and said, I can't make it, and somebody accidentally unbooked Jane Smith. They shouldn't have. Things like that happen. But the point is that even if the appointment is not on your appointment book, if it was ever booked, there's still a record of it, along with when it was booked, when it was unbooked, or when it was rescheduled, etc. And if you're password protecting those features, it'll even show you who did it. Okay? Any questions on booking, unbooking, or rescheduling an appointment?
No, you do have alerts if there's a tech request, and if you want to move a reservation from one technician to another, you get alerts saying that, are you okay with changing the therapist or something like that, right? Or gender requests?
Yes, absolutely. We have the ability, first of all, if a staff member doesn't provide a service and I try to move it to them, it'll simply say this provider does not perform this service, obviously. But if you want to move it over to somebody else simply because they have availability and the other person called in sick or something like that, you can certainly move them. But it does have it has little marks on it basically that says this person doesn't care who they see, or this person specifically wants this person. That's what that purple strip is, by the way. That purple strip is telling you that this was a request. They specifically asked for Ashley. If that was not the case, let me just go ahead and say, we'll go with Marcelo here. When booking a haircut for Marcelo, be sure to book for blah, 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 blah. A little note there for me. Okay, good to know. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and put in another nail service here for Marcelo. And we'll go with a French manicure. And I'm going to book it with Kathy here. And I want you to see, when I say no type, he didn't care who he saw. So there's no strip there. Okay. Also, gender requirements. So let's say you do Brazilian waxing or bikini waxing or something like that. Something, like an intimate wax. And a customer says, when I get an intimate wax, I only want a woman doing that service. So yes, you can set that gender request. And that's why when you set up your staff members, it is important that you mark them male or female, because that is the only way the software knows whether they are male or female, so that if a customer does have a gender preference set for a service, then if you tried to book the bikini wax with Christian, it would automatically bring up a window that says this customer requires a female attendee, and then you would be able to book it with somebody else. Okay. All right. Any other questions on anything that we've covered in the appointment book before I continue?
No. You have book group, group booking option as well, right?
Oh, certainly, yes. So if you have like wedding parties and things like that, then we're able to go to group bookings, and we can actually create. The first thing you do is you actually create your groups, and you can assign them their own colors with the group name and a short name. A short name is so that, for instance, you might have something like Joanna Seberling's wedding party, and that's a fairly large or long name. And then the short name might just be GWP or JWP for Joanna's wedding party or something like that. And then everybody that you're booking for is going to have that unique color and that title. Now, you can assign individual names as well, but you don't have to. So everybody could be checked out as JWP party, the JWP wedding party or something like that. Or you could say that Sally Smith is getting this massage. She's part of the JWP wedding party, but I'm saying I'm putting her individual name in there. And, and Jane Doe and et cetera. She's also part of that. So you can do that as well. Or you could just have them generically under the wedding party name or something like that. But absolutely, you can do group bookings. Not only can you do group bookings, but that reminds me that you can also do package bookings for an individual. So if you have pre-created packages, they will be listed here. You make your packages where you, within a package, put in a group of services and your own price for that package, which may be a discount if they had purchased the individual services, individually. So for instance, if I want to do a package, I could just choose one, like my Princess's Day here, and then I can choose a specific date with my calendar or put in dates here, and a time that the customer is interested in starting in, and then I hit go. And what it does is it finds every available option for me that will fit within the day that I've selected. So if I've got a busy day, this can be a huge time saver for somebody who wants to get 3 or 4 different services. It's going to find who can do them and what times they have available and whether or not they are one after the other. If it cannot find any availabilities, it'll tell you no available options for this package. And you can create packages in multiple forms. So you can move services around. So you could do the Princess's Day option 1, the Princess's Day option 2, the Princess's Day option 3, which may have services in different orders and things like that. Once you've found what you want, then you can highlight it, and I can go to show here and say, okay, Ashley's going to do your acrylic tips, Debbie's going to do your back facial, and then she's going to do the microfacial. Does that work for you? If it works for the customer, then you can just go ahead and book it. So I can choose my customer. Whoops, let's actually grab somebody here. We'll go with Daniela here. And then I can just go ahead and book it. And if any of the services require a room, it will ask for the room. If they don't worry about it. You won't have to do it. And any equipment that might be needed, like the microfacial here, needs one of the micro rooms. And so those services are now booked. My package is booked. I can also do in that same thing, whoops, not the month view, the multi-view, the multi-book. Instead of choosing a pre-created package, like the ones I've made, I can go to multi-service and create a package on the fly where I can choose a specific operator, a service that they provide, and fill it in, up to 10 services in the package, and then go through the same process and hit go, and it will find the available openings for me with those available people, or it will let me know that it cannot, in fact, book that package. Okay? There are other things here in the appointment book, like standing appointments. Somebody comes in every other Tuesday at 11 o'clock for the same service. Changing the order of the people as they're booked. And the reason that that might be important, maybe you want Angel before Abigail instead of Abigail before Angel, is because when somebody books online, for instance, if they don't have a name to choose from, if they say, I don't know who I want to see, so I'm going to go with anybody. If they choose anybody, then it will do a round robin, always starting with the first. So it would start with Abigail, and then it would book with Angel, then it would book with Anna, etc. The next person, if it booked with Abigail, the next person that wanted anybody, it would automatically book with Angel. The next person that wanted anybody would automatically book with Anna, so that everybody gets a chance to be first in the round robin. Okay, just want you to be aware of that as well. Okay, there's a lot more to show you on the appointment book, but for the sake of brevity, we're going to jump to the point of sale now. Do you have any questions on the appointment book before I jump to the point of sale?
Just one question about the waiting list. If you put somebody on the waiting list and you have a cancellation, the system prompts you to put that appointment
That's right, yes.
in the opening with
That's
anybody,
exactly right.
or I have to have a signed therapist?
Okay, if you do an unbook, you're unbooking from a specific person that you have booked that appointment with. So when somebody goes on the waiting list, they're asking for that person in that time. If they're looking for anything, then you can put them on the waiting list for multiple people. Okay. But the point is that when you unbook with Ashley, when you unbook with Ashley, if that person was waiting for Ashley, and maybe other people as well, but if she was waiting for Ashley in that time frame, then it would automatically pop up letting you know that there is a person waiting for this time. You can call them. It will give you their telephone numbers. And you can say, hey, that time has become available. Would you like me to book it? And they say yes. With one click of a button, it will replace the appointment that you were rescheduling or unbooking with the appointment that was waiting. Okay? Of course, you don't have to call them. I mean, you could just automatically book it in there. And by the way, when you automatically book, the customer, if you want, could have received an instant email letting them know that they have just been booked for that time. So if they told you that they were hoping to see Ashley at 10 o'clock, and you said, I'm sorry, she's busy that day at that time, and they said, well, that's the only time I'm available. So you put them on the waiting list for that. If that becomes available and you don't call them, you just book it, they can receive an instant email that tells them they have been booked with Ashley at 10 o'clock. Okay.
But they don't have to be assigned with specific massage therapists, right? They can just be like on the waiting list for 10 o'clock massage with anybody.
What we have is,
you have to assign
again,
all
you can put them on a waiting list with multiple therapists. Yes, you can do that, but it's still going based by the therapist. It's not, you can't just say anybody. You are saying, I want this time with Ashley or Kathy or Christian or Anna. You can do that, But you can't just say anybody. You are still saying who they're interested in seeing.
Okay.
Okay. If they're interested in anybody, of course, that's hopefully there would be some available time because it's anybody. You can book them with anybody. But, if everybody's locked up, then yeah, go ahead and choose multiple people to put them on with. And technically you could put them on with everybody, but you do have to go through those steps.
Okay.
Any other questions on the appointment book before I continue?
No more questions from me.
All right. Okay, so then the next thing we're going to talk about is the point of sale. Now, there's two ways to get to the point of sale. One way is to just click on the sales button, and that will open my point of sale register. Or from the appointment book, I could have right-clicked on an appointment and selected check out, and it will then open my point of sale with the ticket already filled in. So Daniela here was getting the princess package, and so she got the acrylic tips full for $65, the back facial for $65, and the microfacial for $100. So here's her ticket. Now I'm ready to go, perhaps. I can go directly to payment. But maybe I'm not ready to go. She would like to add a tip, perhaps. So I can go to gratuity here. And I can put a specific dollar amount in for Debbie and accept it. And then put a specific dollar amount in for Ashley and accept that. Or I could simply distribute a percentage, like 15%, and it'll do the math for me. So Debbie's going to get $24.75, and Ashley's going to get $9.75.
Do you do that at checkout, or you can have all those treatments? You can have the gratuity built into the treatments.
Yes, you can have auto gratuities.
Okay.
Of course, you can do it this way where they get to select it, but you can have auto gratuity. So if you say when somebody gets this service, it's going to automatically apply this gratuity or service charge, then it will automatically do that. And obviously then you wouldn't have to do that, but you would be able to change it if you wanted to. So if it put in an auto gratuity and they wanted to add to that or even reduce it, then you can modify the price.
Okay.
So you can change it even though it automatically came up. But yes, this system does have auto gratuities. Okay, so I've added my gratuities here, and perhaps they want to buy product as well when they're going through this process. I can look up product in a multitude of ways. As long as the product is in the system, you're going to be able to find it because you can look it up by SKU number. You can scan the product with your barcode scanner. You can look it up by manufacturer. You can also simply look it up by name. So there's lots of different ways to find your product. This is what's called the retail ready field. This allows me to simply scan my product, or I could type in a SKU number and say who's making the sale. So Lizette here sold the Just an All-in-One shampoo to Daniela, and it puts in my local tax. So now I've got my services, my gratuities, and my product. Now perhaps I'm ready to go to payment. So we'll go ahead and go to payment here. Now I can accept payment in lots of different ways. Cash, check, credit card. If you're processing through our preferred provider directly through the software, it's going to look like this. If you are not, it's not a problem. It's simply going to look like this. And you're going to just choose what card they used. You're going to be getting your authorization through the terminal outside of the software rather than processing through the software. Not a problem. Gift certificates or gift cards. If you have sold a gift certificate or gift card through the system, then you can accept it. Series. If somebody like a local comes in and they come in every other Tuesday for their Swedish massage, and you sell those Swedish massages for $100, and they come in every other Tuesday. So maybe if they bought 5 at one time, you sell it to them for $450. So they save $50. That's a series. So if somebody bought the same service multiple times at once, that's a series. And if they own it, it will be listed here. So then I would be able to say there's 4 of 5 remaining, 3 of 5 remaining, 2 of 5 remaining every time they use it. So once they've purchased it, series can be used as a method of payment. On account, if somebody has given you a deposit and you want to take money off of the money that they have already deposited with you, then you can take that amount off of their on account that they have already given you as a deposit. Then, of course, we have the hotel charge. Now mine is not set up, of course, because I'm not interfaced with the property management system. When you are, not only are you able to charge to a room and it will appear on the folio for them to pay when they leave, but also there will be a button here that says room inquiry. And with that room inquiry, you're able to click that, type in the room number, and it will show you who is occupying that room at that time. That way, when Daniela Farabaran here comes in, and she would like to charge to that room, it's really nice to be able to just go there and see that Michael and Daniela Fairbairn are occupying that room. Okay, great, no problem. I'm going to go ahead and charge it. But if I went and I put in the room number that she gave me in the room inquiry, and it said that Josh Smith was occupying that room and no other names, then I may want to ask, did you get the room number right? Are you sure that's your room number? Is there anyone else that you're occupying it with? Oh yeah, my boyfriend is Josh Smith. Maybe it's his. Oh, okay. She gave me that information. I'm able to see it there, and perhaps then I feel more comfortable charging directly to the room. I can also accept traveler's checks. I can also create my own unique methods of payment. So then whatever I create here, I've created these. One of them is barter. And I simply type in, for instance, the electrician came in, did our wiring, so I gave his wife some free services. You still want that in their history. You still want your staff to get their commission, etc., but you didn't take monies in any of these other forms. And you can use rewards points. So then you're able to say, for instance, that a customer has a certain number of points, and they can use those points to get discounts or freebies in the spa. And they can earn those points through getting services from you, buying product from you, or even giving you referrals. Now, I understand that you guys have some additional programs that you use, and hopefully, with a proper interface, those points can actually be translated into the spa as well. So people who are earning points playing at a table, or people who are earning points simply by getting a room at the hotel, they may be able to use those points there as well, so long as the interface permits that. Okay, so that may be an option for you as well. Currently, the way the point system is set up is they earn points through their earnings through the spa alone, and they can use those points in the spa alone. Okay, all right. Moving on. You can also pay in multiple forms, meaning she might want to get rid of a $100 bill, so she gives me $100 in cash, and then gives me some money in check, and then pays for the balance on a credit card. 3 different forms of payment. You could have 5 different forms of payment, 8 different, it doesn't matter. Until the total is zeroed out, you can continue to add different forms of payment, okay? Also, you can change the payee. So maybe Daniela came in here and got all of this, and her boyfriend is standing there and hands you his card, and you want it to show that it was paid by him. So I can change the payee on this. Also, you may have the opportunity to have multiple people. So let's say that Daba came in and Kenny came in, and they are boyfriend and girlfriend, or husband and wife, or friends. And you go to payment, and I can say which of them is going to make the payment. Whoever is occupying the second line will always be the default payee, or the third line or the fourth line. In other words, the last line of the ticket will be the default payee, but I can change that. And I can say that it's Dionysida that's actually making the payment rather than Kenny. Or I could even change it to someone else entirely. Maybe these are brother and sister, and dad is paying for both of them. So I can do that as well. Okay? All right. Any questions on any of that before we continue?
No, I'm fine.
Okay. Now, there's a lot more to the point of sale that we haven't shown, like people who don't have appointments that you can pull up right from your database and then create the ticket with services and retail and gift certificates and series, etc. Or adding somebody brand new to the database that doesn't have an appointment, obviously, because they're brand new, so they're not on your appointment book, and somebody who perhaps is maybe a minor or something like that. They're coming in just to buy a product or something, and you don't care to capture their information, but you still want to process the transaction so that your staff gets remunerated properly. And clear that. Okay, for the sake of brevity, even though there's a ton more, we haven't talked about memberships, we didn't talk about the process of selling a gift certificate or professional product, we didn't talk about setting up formulas or anything like that, creating duplicate receipts or pre-printing, modifying prices or adding coupons. Haven't talked about any of those things. They're all available to you. But for the sake of brevity now, we're about to jump to reports. Do you have any questions on the point of sale before we go to reports?
You can start reports. I don't know if I missed at the beginning, but you do have fitness membership options as well, and like automatic charges on monthly basis.
Okay, yes. Yeah, when you create your memberships, you have the ability, let me just go with my gold membership here. I said this is $100 and it's billed $100 a month. Okay, and I say that the gold members' monthly charge is on the first of the month. And I could choose the 15th or the last day of the month as well. Or instead of monthly, I could do it weekly, monthly, semi-annually, or annually. Those are my options. So there's lots of different ways to set this up. And I don't have to give discounts on services or retail. I don't have to offer comp services. I don't have to say that this membership earns points or that they earn separate services, as well as allowing them to accumulate, or that they can redeem the services that they've earned against other services. I can pick and choose what I do within this. But if somebody becomes a member and they have a membership here and they're paying for that membership, then what happens is, like for instance, in my point of sale here, if I pull up Miss Babcock, go ahead and pull up my order here. She comes up here and it shows me how many points she has. She has 4,859 points. She also has an on-account credit of $152.50 that I owe her. And if I were to click on her picture here, if, by the way, if you don't have her picture, it's not a problem. It will just show like a mannequin head. And I can see she's a gold member. Now, at any time, I can charge all of my gold members. On the first of the month, it will not automatically charge them, though. I want you to be aware of that. But on the first of the month, you can say, charge all of my gold members. And then, yes, it will do a batch and it will charge all of your gold members, but only if you're processing directly through the software. If you're not processing directly through the software, then you would have to create a list of your members to charge and then do that. All right. Okay. Any other questions on the point of sale before I continue?
No questions.
All right. So then the next thing that we're going to talk about is reporting. And you know what? Actually, I'm going to go here to sales, and I just want to very quickly do something here. We'll go with Claudia. It doesn't matter. And oh, she has a membership that's expired, by the way, and she has no points. And that's that little mannequin I was talking about. Okay, so I'm going to say that she saw Christian and that she got a full massage. And I'm going to say that she bought a product from Christian. And I'm going to say that she gave a gratuity to Christian. So I'm just going to go ahead and put all of that on Christian. And the reason I did that is because I want to show you a very specific report. Okay, so I'm going to go here to reports. There are over 300 different reports for you to choose from. So there's a very high likelihood that whatever report you're looking for is already built into the system. However, you also have something called the data miner, which allows you to create your own custom reports. If you have somebody in the system, perhaps like Greg, he works for you guys, and maybe him or somebody in his department actually is familiar with SQL. They can actually write their own SQL statement to mine data right out of it, or they can use drop-downs to create a SQL statement for whatever they want to create. And when you do that, you're also able to name it and save it so that that report is available to you in the future as well. Now, most places, now maybe because you guys are a much larger operation, maybe you do have somebody in your tech department that can actually write a SQL statement for you. Terrific. But if you don't, it's okay. Even if you can't write your own, or if you are confused, then you can simply go to our tech staff. With one click of the support button, it'll bring you to support, and you can click on live chat. You'll have communication with somebody within 15 seconds, as long as it's during our regular business hour. Our average hold time on live chat is 15 seconds. And you can say, hey, this is the information I need. If they know that it's already a report, they'll tell you exactly where to find that report. If not, they can create the custom report for you, email you the statement, and you can then paste it right into your data miner, name it and save it. That report is available to you in the future from that point forward. If you are running the same reports, let's say every Friday you run the same exact 12 reports, and you're tired of having to go here and running this report, and then going here and running that report, and then going here and instead, you can do batch reporting as well and check off the reports that you run, give it a name like Friday's reports. So then when you go in here, you can just choose Friday's reports, put in your date range, and hit print. and it will print out those reports for you automatically so that you don't have to go and select them each time. So that's another option for you. Something else I want to show you are the tools that all of the reports have. So I'm going to go to Sales, Service Sales, and I'm going to say for a selected operator. Now I'm going to choose everybody. I can go with an individual, but I'm going to choose everybody and accept. And I'm going to put in an old date range, and I'll explain why in just a moment. But I'm going to say September 1st of 13 to October 1st of 13 and accept. Now, the reason I'm showing you this is because I want to show you how fast this comes up. Just took about 3 seconds or less. And this is a full month's worth of data, and it's 5 years ago almost. And we've got 843 services that were sold, $58,042 worth of services, and all of. Now, it's not the report that's that important. I just wanted to show you how rapidly the software generates the report. In a lot of systems, waiting for a report to generate can be time-consuming, especially if in some of the older systems. Now let's talk about some of the tools that all of the reports have. One of them is really basic, very simple, a zoom tool. It just simply allows you to zoom in and out, so you don't have to maybe print it out, or if you wear reading glasses like some of our customers. I know it doesn't sound like that big a deal, but it can be extremely helpful. You'd be surprised how many of our customers contacted us to say thank you when we added the zoom tool. Not a big deal. Here's one that's a little bit more important though, email. I can type in an email address and hit OK, and that report just got sent to my HR department, or my accountant, or my manager, or my employee, or myself at home, whatever. I simply type in an email address and hit OK. Of course, you can password protect this, by the way. But with one click of a button, I can send this report anywhere I want. All of the reports have that ability. Even custom reports that you create have these tools. Here's another one, really important. Export to Excel. One click of a button, and this becomes an Excel spreadsheet. So I don't have to export it into a CSV file or a TXT file and then import it into Excel and set my delimiters. I don't have to do any of that nonsense. One click of a button, it's an Excel spreadsheet, and I'm able then to save it, name it and save it. Then I could open another report, name it and save that. Then, because I've got 2 separate Excel spreadsheets that I have saved, I could then copy columns or rows from one, or numbers from one report to another, allowing me to manipulate my data in ways I've never been able to do before. Okay? And also, here I am looking at this report for 9/1 to 10/1 for all operators, and I say, okay, that's great, but I just want to see this for Christian now. In most systems, I would have to close this report, go back to sales, go back to service sales, go back to operator reports, choose my operator, put in my date range and accept. I have to go through those steps to generate this report again under someone like Debbie's name or Christian's name. We don't do that. I know it doesn't sound like a big deal, but if you've got 30, 40, 50 employees, it can be extremely helpful to just use the drop down and say, Christian, recalculate. Now I'm looking at Christian's report. Drop down, Debbie, recalculate. Now I'm looking at Debbie's report. So you don't have all of those steps to recreate the report. I can also change my dates on the fly. So September 1st to October 1st, I'm just going to change it to September 1st to September 7th and recalculate. And now it's for Debbie from September 1st to September 7th. And of course, all of these tools still work. Export to Excel, and now it's for Debbie for these periods. All of these have, and I don't know that you have multiple locations, but if you did, you can switch between locations and see that report for that person at that location rather than the one that you're currently using. And of course, you can always print them out as well. Other things in reports, for instance, we have goals that you can set up for your staff and view them at any time. And those goals are set daily, weekly, or last 7 days. It's daily, last 7 days, and last 30 days is the way that works. And also we have something called the fortune teller. The fortune teller will show you your trends throughout the spa based on your last 3 months worth of data. Now, of course, this is sample data, and I only do 1 or 2 appointments a day through this, so the numbers are grotesquely small. You'd go out of business very, very fast if you only did $18,000 of services in the last 3 months. But the important thing to note here is that it takes those 3 months worth of data, and it says if your business continues exactly the same way with these trends, if those trends don't change, this is what your next year is going to look like. That's what the top half is. The bottom half allows you to make subtle changes to those real numbers to see what the business impact of those changes would be. So it allows you to focus on where you need to make your changes and see what that change is going to be before you invest your money or your time or your effort in making those changes. You can see what the impact of those changes will be. So a simple change here is my new client retention, which is 0%. What if it was 5%? I can see what that does to my total sales, what it does to my difference in annual sales, my difference in annual income, and my percentage difference, my business impact. My number of clients is 62. What if it was 65? My active client retention is 33.33. What if it was 40? Now look, could I change this from 62 to 6,200? Sure. But if your number's already 6,200, could I change it to 620,000? Yeah, but that's not reasonable. You're going to think, look, if we made these changes, what do we think the goal numbers are that we could hit? So you put in your goal numbers and see what that change actually produces. Is it worth the time, effort, and possibly money that you're about to put into it to get to that change? So it'll show you things like that as well. We also have something called, in graphs here, we have social analytics. Now, I don't know if you guys care about this or if you do it, but I do want to just very quickly show it to you. If yours was set up, mine's not, so I went with one that is set up. Then it would show you your Facebook, your Twitter, your Instagram. It will show you what's working, the posts that are getting the most feedback, the most shares, the most likes, the impressions, and what the demographics are. Are you reaching women? Are you reaching men? Are you reaching and ages? Are you reaching children? Are you reaching women between this age group and that age group, men between this age group and that age group, etc.? So you'll be able to, and of course we'll show you how to read these, but you'll be able to then, using social analytics, see what is working for you in your social media marketing, for the spa anyway. Okay? Any questions on reporting before I move on?
No questions.
Okay. All right. Inventory. The inventory system is as powerful as if the inventory system was its own software. In fact, it used to be. And it was built into our software after we bought that company. Very powerful tool. Every product in here is going to have an activity sheet, which shows you everything that you've done on it, receiving orders, sales, merchandise returns, manual adjustments, everything combined. You have your total numbers, you've got your SACs, whether or not you can sell it online, whether or not you've uploaded an image for this so your customers can see a picture of it online when they're going to buy it. We have the buy again that we talked about when we were talking about Darcy, etc. Then you have the ability to create purchase orders. So you can create a PO, and after you've created a PO, so it might look something like this when you create it, then you can go in to your purchase orders when those boxes come in and receive it, and it will update your quantities automatically. You can also, if you have some products that don't have their own labels, you can actually create your own labels for your products. And you can print them out right onto standard Avery labels and put them on. You can have labels with or without barcodes. You can have labels with descriptions, things like that. You can do, of course, your physical counts, and you can batch your numbers. So when you put down you do your physical count batch file here, and you're able to go in and print your worksheets and say, okay, the system believes this is how many I have. I just did my count. This is how many I have. And so you can go in there, put in the SKU and the actual count, and just populate it one after another. And when you're done, process the batch, and all of your numbers will be updated properly. You're able to remove product. You're able to send and if you create your own product and you have like a warehouse or something like that, instead of doing a PO, you can do transfer from one location to another as well. You can also delete product. You can set product to be discontinued. It's product that you want to still have in the system, but you no longer sell it, things like that. So there's lots of different controls that you have on it. And of course, when you sell product through the point of sale, it automatically reduces it from your on-hand inventory. Any questions on inventory before I continue?
Is the inventory tool that you have here, is it capable of being interfaced with something with Stratton Warren?
Okay, I don't know what Stratton Warren's requirements are. What I can tell you is we have APIs and we develop interfaces with anybody and everybody that's willing to develop an interface with us. So if they do interfaces with third-party companies, I would venture to say that the answer is yes, because anything in this software can be interfaced. It's a SQL database. All of that information is there. It's just a matter of what information they allow to be pushed and what information they allow to be pulled so that you can actually create that interface. So the short answer is yes, if they're willing to do it.
All right, thanks.
Absolutely. Okay, that is essentially the demo. So my last question is, do you have any questions, general questions, things that I didn't cover that you were hoping I would, something you wanted to see, maybe something I did cover you want more explanation on? Any questions at all on...
I have two questions really quick. If we have a tracking for turn-away guests, I'm not sure if we went over this one. If there is a way to track the guests that we had to turn away because the price was too high for them or we didn't have openings.
Okay, so you want to, I apologize. You didn't have an opening or the price was too high, so what is it we're tracking?
It's called turn-away guest tracking, like the guests that we had to, they were willing to book an appointment with us, but because of us not having openings, we had to turn them away, or they said, well, they expected to have a lower price for massage or for any other reasons. Like this way I will know how much am I losing of potential clients. And
okay, sure, that makes sense. Okay, well, I can tell you this. They would have to be entered into the system, of course, so they would have to be a client. And in the client files, one of the things that you're able to do is create what are called tracking items. Every client can have unique tracking items. So I've got tracking here. Now, these are the ones I've created. And some of them are silly.
I'm looking for creating new clients. Like if somebody just calls us and say, hey, do you have a massage? I have an opening today at 3 o'clock. That's the only time I can come in. And we say, I'm sorry, we do not have it. This way I will know that I need to schedule more therapies during that time if I have 10 guests asking for a 3 o'clock appointment. I don't need to know their name. I don't need to build their reservation profile. I just want to know the number, like how many guests are asking for that specific treatment or time frame. This way will help me to, build the schedule on my end. Do you understand the question?
I do understand. And I did misunderstand the first time, no question. But I absolutely understand what you're saying now. I can tell you that I don't believe that is part of the software like that. We certainly do have the ability for you to check like room utilization and things like that to see who's having their time most effectively used for both staff and rooms. But as far as just tracking people that we weren't able to book, and so we may have lost them. So here's a number here. We don't have anything like that, but that doesn't sound like it would be that difficult to create. That would simply be like a number tracker per day. And if that's the case, that is something that could be added to the software. Now, we're not talking about an interface here. We're just talking about making a fairly simple change to the software. Well, I can tell you this. If that was a deal breaker with WindCreek, there's no question that we would add that. So I would say, even though I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that it's in the software now, I'm going to tell you if you require a simple tracker like that, that's so simple to add to software. I mean, that really is just a number tracker. Then the answer is yes, we could add that for you. And if that is what it took to get WindCreek, we'll absolutely add it for you.
Also, another question, are there will the therapists be able to view their schedules on mobile devices, or you don't have that option yet?
Yeah, no, we absolutely have that option. And you don't have to have the app in order to do that, by the way. As long as your online has been turned on and set up with appointments, then your staff will be able to go to the online store. So they'll be able to go to that link. And you don't even have to have it on your website, by the way. You could simply give your staff the actual link. So for instance, you could give them the URL that takes them here, and you'll notice this one says operator login. They can do this. You might see all of this wasted space on the left and right. The reason it looks like wasted space is because I'm using a computer. But if I was using the phone, you're really just seeing this. This is optimized for phones. So your staff member can click on operator login, their username and password, and they can check their schedule right through their smartphone, even without using the app through a web page. Okay? So the answer is yes. And of course, if they're using the app, then they can do that through the app as well. It's just a little bit, they don't have to go to a web page for that. But on most smartphones, by the way, in fact, I think all of them now, you can turn a URL into a button right on your phone. So you could just click on it and it'll immediately take you to that web page. So your staff would be able to click that once they have it put on their phone. They click that, it'll take them to their page. Their username and password would probably already be filled in after the first time they've done it. And then they can just go through the process of putting in the date range they want to see, and it will show them their schedule for that date range. Okay. Any other questions?
Greg, did you ask about all the interfaces that we need? Is there an Opera interface with the system?
All of the interface, yes, we do have an Opera interface with the system, yes. All of the interfaces that need to be done with this, I think someone like Greg and Brent will have to get together along with the different companies that we're going to be interfacing with, and they're going to have those conversations. But as far as Opera and the property management system is concerned, that's already available. It just needs to be, whoever the company is that you're working with has to be able to approve it, of course, even though it's already certified with Opera. But yes, we have a certified interface with Opera. Okay, would you, Latanya, would you like me to send you a link to this meeting that we had this morning?
Yes.
Okay, and I've got your email address, so I'll go ahead and just write a little note for myself so I don't forget to do that. Latanya, link to demo. And then you can disseminate that as you see fit to anybody that would like to see this demo that you just participated in this morning. I'm about to let you guys go, but before I do, are there any other questions?
No questions.
I'll probably be sending you an email with some information with some information on probably getting a rough draft quote for us, just to kind of see what kind of numbers we're talking about for the system.
Sure. And now I can tell you this: the numbers are fairly low. However, what's going to probably impact the upfront cost more than anything else is going to be the interfaces. How many, how complicated, et cetera. So I think that, get us that information, and when Brent and Greg sit down and really go over everything, then we'll probably be able to give you a more realistic number than just, going through our, out of the box numbers.
Okay, that's fair enough.
When do we sit down?
All right. I apologize. Say that again, Greg.
So when do we sit down and really go over these things? We're talking about doing it, but we got to do it really fast.
Yeah, I mean, you could speak to Brent today if you'd like. Absolutely. I brought him in this morning to answer, questions like that. He left after you said you didn't have any more questions. Unfortunately, I lost him. I would have loved to have jumped back and said, Brent, get back in here. But unfortunately, he's actually not physically in the same office that I'm physically in. But yeah, I mean, if you'd like, I could have him reach out to you, contact you directly, and the two of you can talk right now, or as soon as he's available, if he's not available right this second.
Well, I'm not available right after this meeting, but I am this Saturday.
Well, then, yeah, what we want to do then is find a time that the two of you can meet. That's what we want to do. So, Greg, do you have my contact information?
No, but Latanya does, so I'm good.
Okay. All right. So then, yeah. So, and I'll make sure that Latanya and I work together to set up a meeting between you and Brent then. Okay?
Perfect. All right.
All right. Terrific. All right. I guess that's it. And Latanya, I'll go ahead and get that email out to you with this demo. And if you would please get some dates and times that work for Greg, and I'll see how they work for Brent, and we'll get those two together. I can tell you again that with a company as I guess, a jewel in the crown, really, as WindCreek is, that he'll make the time. So I think what works best for Greg, I'm sure we'll probably be able to work out with Brent as well. All right. So thanks so much, guys, and have a wonderful weekend, all of you. Take care.
too.
All right, thank you. And
Bye-bye.
bye-bye.
Go ahead. You had a question?
No, thanks.
Okay,
Thank you
care.
very much.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye.
My pleasure.